Hello everyone, I'm Wormer of Wormer Creations. It's been a little bit, but I'm back again with another instructional video. Today, we'll be making a tooth in Nomad Sculpt, and not just a tooth, but we are going to be turning this into a D4 with the numbers etched into the side, and then we're going to be 3D printing it. Look at that, disgusting. Use it in your D&D games for a hag, or as a gross little trinket for people who like teeth and dice, I guess. Anyway, let's begin. Start with a cube in Nomad Sculpt. We're going to mess with the symmetry so that it works on four sides evenly, perfectly. So first, get your X mirror symmetry up, and then a radial Y symmetry as well. As you can see, this now perfectly shows up in 8 spots, perfectly symmetrical, so we can make sure this thing is balanced as you roll it. We want it to be radially symmetrical for that purpose. Also, always remember to enable your dynamic topology. As you can see here, I'm smoothing it, but it's keeping these strange corners, these little points right on the edges here. And that's because dynamic topology is not engaged yet. And what that means is dynamic topology will automatically reconfigure the wire mesh to have a consistent detail, essentially is what it's called. So for here, I lowered the detail to a certain amount of polygons, and it immediately, anywhere you touch with that certain brush, in this case the smooth brush, it will create an even amount of topology. And you can see here I'm messing with it to show a more detailed topology, but now looking and comparing to the previous one, which just kind of mushed the existing wireframe, this one is creating new wireframe to keep it a consistent, even amount of detail, and this is what we want. So now I'm just kind of messing to see how it's going to look if I just use smooth. Already I'm kind of getting those weird knobs on top that make it look like a molar there. But really, I think I'm going to start messing with the crease tool to get those weird molar divots you get in your teeth. Teeth are weird the more you look at them. I'm now seeing that having those 8 points makes it hard to get a good crease, so I'm removing the x-axis mirror symmetry, and now I just have the 4 radial symmetry points on the y-axis. And this allows me to get some better hard-cut lines in here, and then I'm going to enable the normal symmetry again, take the move tool, and kind of move out a little divot in there, because that's how teeth look. I'm looking at a reference photo of some molars while I'm doing this. Make sure you use reference photos if you want something to look realistic and normal. There's also these hard edges here at the top. So I'm using the crease tool and then selecting invert so it becomes pointy rather than an inverted crease to kind of make top of the crown there. That's looking good. You can manipulate that as you like, but we now need to make the roots extending down. For this, I've created a plane. I'm using the gizmo tool, enabled snap to 45 or 90 degrees, well, 45, so you can angle it along this plane. And the reason for this is we're going to use the tube tool to make the roots. With the tube tool, if you do the path and then make sure that you have snap engaged, with snap, this makes sure any point will automatically snap or connect to a surface. So, because of this, I can ensure that the root is going to be formed exactly along this plane and will be perfectly symmetrical. It's not going to angle anywhere weird. I'm showing you now if you put a point somewhere else, then it starts to go along that curve. But if you place a point on an actual plane or object, it sticks to it perfectly. So this is what I'm going to use to make sure it's perfectly symmetrical, going straight up and down, not curved left and right in a weird way. I'm now messing with the radius along the ways to make it a little more tapered. And then once that's there, I go up and add a radial symmetry. Make sure you select the X one. It was already on Y, which made it not the way I wanted, but with X, create 4 different roots. That's now looking more like a tooth. When it looks about right, you're going to want to validate it and make sure you do uninstance, because this helps us boolean or connect the whole thing together much better, I've found. So I'm selecting my initial box and the roots, and then I hit Boolean, and what this does is it completely joins the mesh together into one mesh. So now you can smooth, and it'll smooth just as one object. If you did this without Booleaning, it would only smooth each individual object. So now I'm smoothing to get more of a nice tooth look. It's kind of working how I like. I like that it's kind of filling in some of the gaps too, make it look a little more natural. This is my first iteration of the tooth. I left it kind of boxy, and you'll see compared to the one at the beginning and ultimately the end, I smoothed this more boxy form to make it look a little more natural, but it still was able to roll and land on each side perfectly. So here I am checking it out, really looking like a tooth. Loving it, getting excited to print it and maybe put it in my mouth. Just kidding, or am I? Next, we want to make it look like someone etched in the numbers, like they meticulously scratched them in like a crazy person. I start with the crease tool, but it has these soft edges I don't like. You see, if someone were to really scratch it in, it would make these jagged, hard edges along the top surface too. So to kind of give you a better idea, I'm using the trim tool, make a line, and I'm cutting the tooth in half so you can kind of see a profile of what's going on. Yeah, I don't like that soft edge. It kind of makes it seem like the surface would be soft and you're pushing in on it. And that's not how a tooth acts. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to edit the crease tool to get a better looking profile. You can see there's that profile there too. If you hit the presets, they have some there, but none of what I want. So at the top, I hit fall off, and then I'm switching to cat mole rom. You can also do B-spline, but basically this allows you to edit the profile. And it shows you a little preview of what's going on, and I'm realizing I just kind of want it to look like a really sharp angle carved into the surface, so that's what I'm going to mess with. I'm going to give it a little test here, and then you can look at the bottom and see how it's going, but it's also got some weird pixelization because, again, the dynamic topology turned itself off when I either booleaned or trimmed it, so always make sure dynamic topology is on for you. As you can see, this made the next test more smooth. I've now undid the trim tool. It's kind of looking how I like, and I'm going to increase the detail on the dynamic topology, and look at that. So smooth. It's looking how I want, but I really want to look like someone just was doing dirty work here in a non-weird way. So I add a bunch of these lines, and it starts cutting deeper and deeper the more I add, and that is kind of giving me the effect I'm looking for. It's perfect. It's looking like some crazy person took this tooth of a man and made it some chance magic item. A nasty hag instrument. I'm going to be using these in my D&D game. My players ended up befriending Baba Yaga of all people, so she ended up sneaking these little teeth into their pockets to help enhance their rolls when they were on a quest for her. And I gave them this at the game, these actual dice, and they loved them. Super cool to give people props. As you can see now, I've kind of messed with it a little more, making it look a little more natural. I've etched in the numbers deeper so they show up more on the 3D print. We are now ready to get this to the 3D printer. Keep your eye out for the second video where we're going to be 3D printing and painting this. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I love you all, my little worms. It's not weird to say. Please keep your teeth inside your mouth. Also not weird to say. And have a good, wonderful day. And don't let your teeth get taken by hags. Yep, that's it.